I spoke to Volodimir Solohub, a journalist reporting for us from Zaporizhzhia. I began by asking him about that reported attack on a fuel depot inside Russia by Ukrainian helicopters and what the Ukrainian government is saying about it.
Well, the Ukrainian military person earlier today said he cannot either confirm or deny these allegations that Ukrainian military indeed attacked this oil depot. But Charles, we should remember that Russia is very well known for their fake news and distorting the truth for their viewers and for their people. So as of now, while it is very probable that it could have been done by Ukrainian military, and perhaps at some time, Ukrainian military will indeed take credit or rather responsibility for that. As of now, it could have been also a staged attack.
Nevertheless, if that attack did take place, the Ukrainian military attacking a target inside Russia, that would represent a sharp escalation, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. This would be a first open aggression of the Ukrainian side on the Russian territory. But again, we should remember that Russia declared an outright war in Ukraine on February 24th. And Russian Air Force have been targeting Ukrainian oil depots all over the country, even as far as Lviv, which is in western Ukraine, some 80 kilometers from the Polish border. So it's very probable that Ukrainian army decided to retaliate in kind.
Well, I mean, the Ukrainians may think it's a legitimate target potentially, but the Kremlin are saying, albeit mutedly, that it doesn't help peace talks at all. And they say it's a setback, in fact, for the peace talks.
Of course, if it indeed turns out that this attack has been done by the Ukrainian army, it would harm the negotiations that are currently undergoing, the peace negotiations that are currently ongoing. But again, Russia is not known for its fair and unbiased reporting of the news that are happening, and it is, again, very much probable that it has been a staged attack, Charles.
Well, let's turn, Volodymyr, to the efforts to evacuate despairing civilians from that battered and disfigured city of Mariupol. I mean, how close are we to getting them out?
Well, Charles, I'm standing right now on the parking lot of this processing center where all of the evacuees from Mariupol and other cities in southern and eastern Ukraine are coming to. And we have been expecting this convoy consisting of some 40 buses of civilians that was dispatched to Mariupol. Yesterday, we received reports that it successfully reached Mariupol. We don't know exactly how many people boarded these buses, and they started their journey back to the Ukrainian-controlled territory today. But as of right now, we're receiving reports that this big convoy is some 50 kilometers away from Zaporizhzhia, but still on the territory which is controlled by Russia. And the local authorities here on the ground just reported that Russian side is not letting this convoy through.
And just describe for us, Volodymyr, what the situation is like there in Zaporizhzhia, where you are, and that coordinating center that you're standing in front of as they await the arrival of the evacuees.
Zaporizhzhia is a major city in southeastern Ukraine. It's right now it's relatively calm, but in the early days of the war, there was fighting near a major nuclear power station not far from the city. In Energodar. And actually, this is one of the largest nuclear power stations. Russians took it over, and there was one moment when there was heavy fighting on the facilities of this nuclear power station. And when I was talking to the governor of Zaporizhzhia, he told me that they were already preparing to evacuate the entire city. Since then, there has been no major escalation. We hear the air raid sirens now and then, but there hasn't been any shelling or rocket hits in the city itself. This processing center for evacuees where I'm standing right now, and which you can see just behind me, there are lines for cars coming in for those who decided to flee on their own. Once they get here, they're being processed by the police and the volunteers, and then they can go inside that building, which is actually a hardware store, which opened its doors for the evacuees, for those fleeing the horrors of war, so they can go inside, they can get some clothing, they can get some food, and if they need to stay overnight, there are these big buses, which you might see behind me. They can take these people to the temporary shelters where they can stay for some time. And right now, as I said, everybody here on this parking lot is expecting a big convoy of refugees from Mariupol.
And of course, while Mariupol is discussed a lot in the news, I mean, there are other places such as Sumy and Irpin that need aid and evacuation urgently as well, because clearly the conflict is active in so many parts of Ukraine.
Charles, you're absolutely correct. It's not just Mariupol, which is in the southeast of Ukraine. It's also the eastern parts of Ukraine. Ukraine's second largest city, Kharkiv, has been severely damaged. Hundreds of thousands of people have fled Kharkiv, but the fighting is still taking place around Kharkiv as well as around Kyiv. The city which you mentioned, Irpin, was again under heavy fighting from day one. It's a suburb of Kyiv, and along with other suburbs such as Bucha and Hostomel, they were under heavy fire. People had to shelter in their basements because obviously the Russians' objective was to encircle Kyiv and go into Kyiv. However, the city of Irpin has recently been liberated by the Ukrainian army. They reported that the Russians were pushed away, and right now we as a journalist we're trying to get access, and hopefully we'll get that access pretty soon to come back to Irpin and see the evidences of war and what was happening in this embattled city for weeks, Charles.
Thank you very much indeed for bringing us up to date. Volodimir Solohub is a journalist and he was reporting there from Zaporizhzhia.